Hi, I'm Vivian Guzman. Today on Dishin It, we have Jamie Wright. She led a task force in Afghanistan supporting Operation Enduring Freedom, which earned her multiple awards. It was her desperate search for her own freedom that led her to become a powerful speaker, advocate, coach, author of Finding Purpose Through Pain, My Journey of Domestic Violence in a Pandemic. She's appeared on 60 Minutes, CBS, NBC, BBC News, and more. Today, I'm excited to give her son love via salmon croquettes, a food her grandma made for her as a child in Houston. Welcome to Dishin It. I'm Vivian Guzman. Life hasn't always been easy. I have felt alone, displaced, like an outsider. The world needs a place of belonging, which is why I created Dishin It.
Cheers.
On Dishin It, I cook foods from around the world. My guests share their stories, and we inspire the world.
The reason I save marriages past, present and future is because I want it to be that lovely cute 80-year-old couple that you see still holding hands is the norm. Welcome to Dishin It.
Hi! Welcome to Dishin It, Jamie.
Hi, good morning.
This is gonna be good.
I'm excited. I'm honored. I'm privileged. I just feel just like in awe. So thank you, seriously, from the bottom of my heart for having me.
I love you.
I love you too.
And I'm excited to make your grandma's salmon croquettes. Now, I wish you were here so that I could make this for you.
No, that's the only disappointing part, and I'm still grateful, right? That just means the rain check that you have to make it again so that when I come and visit you all, that we'll break bread then.
Exactly. So your grandma used to make this for you. Can you tell me a little bit about the salmon croquette and how she used to make it, if you at all know, to get all your memories?
My memory of the salmon croquettes is actually from my mom, but I know that my grandmother made it. I mean, the memory is really like when my sister and I would smell like the cornmeal, and it was just this distinct smell that would permeate the house, that we were like, oh yeah, mom's cooking salmon croquettes. And the salmon croquettes really is special for me because my mom didn't cook a whole lot. She worked a whole lot. So when we would smell the salmon croquettes and see like the potato peels in the trash can, we would get excited because we knew, so it's like get the ketchup ready, get the hot sauce ready because it's going down.
It's going down.
Excited?
Let's do it. I am super excited. Let's do it.
I'm gonna put roughly a cup of both breadcrumbs and flour. I added a little bit of salt and pepper to it as well to season it. We have a can of salmon, so I'm just gonna put that, and apparently you just put it all in a bowl, all the ingredients. So we have bell peppers, red and green. We have mayonnaise.
Oh, Vivian, this is bringing back the memories because my mom and my grandmother would just take their hands and...
It's coming. So I'm gonna add a little bit of Dijon, and you're supposed to add some eggs just to keep it together. And then I'm gonna add all the dried seasoning. So I decided to add like a little mixture of different spices. So Cajun, a little bit of Old Bay, a little bit of something called Fox Point, and it smells so pretty. So I mixed a whole bunch of different little spices. And then I added some salt and pepper. And they also said in some of the recipes to add Worcestershire sauce, which I just love. So I'm adding that. Also, some garlic powder, which I should have mixed with the spices. I didn't, but it's here now. And then I decided to add some green onions, the tips of the green onions, and some cilantro. So this is what it looks like. Can you see it?
That's it. Wow.
Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to warm this up.
And I thought I would make like a little side dish. I'm going to make like a little salad and some asparagus. Here we go. I'm going in.
Go in, Vivian. So yeah, this is good stuff. Because although my grandmother is still alive, my mom, I lost her to cancer about 20 years ago. She was 47. And so to watch you, the motion, to know that we're making a dish that she would make, it just, wow, it just, I miss her every day. So no, this is good stuff because I'm like, that's what she did. So were you warming up the skillet as you were making
Talking to
them
you?
into the?
Yes. And I had it on medium heat because I have a cast iron pan.
In the cast iron skillet, yes, Vivian, yes. So that just goes to show that we're more alike than we are different. Because never in a million years would I would have thought that you, coming from where you come from, living where you live, would know anything about a cast iron skillet. I'm thinking that's just an Oklahoma thing, right? Or a country,
Really?
a rural area thing. Absolutely, absolutely.
That is so funny.
10 more seconds is good. I'm gonna put a little bit of balsamic vinegar. I added olive oil, salt, and a little bit of pepper. We're gonna let things flip all over the place, and then this is it. This is like the easiest meal I've made in a long time. All right, I'm gonna plate right now, so I'm gonna just grab a beautiful heaping amount of salad. And then I'm gonna put 2 of these beautiful fish cakes here, and then some asparagus. Take a look-see.
Beautiful, Vivian. Oh my gosh. And you made that just so, oh, can we snapshot a picture?
Yes, please.
I don't know how.
And now we're done. We can go into another room. I can have a few bites, and life is good.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Get it. Get it. Get it. You better get it. I love it.
So I'm super excited right now because, well, like I got food in front of me, even though I feel like a charlatan because you don't have any, but I got to try this while it's hot. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
I cut a little piece.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh my God, this is so good. Okay, so it feels creamy because it has the mayo and the Dijon mustard. It feels weirdly as if it had potatoes. I don't know if it's psychological for me. You have the beautiful and the sweetness of the bell peppers that are coming through. It feels authentic. It's got the right level of crunch and softness. I feel comforted and blanketed. I'm happy.
And I can hear the crunch, and it sounds amazing.
You also said to me that growing up, you didn't cook much because you had a lot of hard times and not having even food available to you, and that your grandma was the one who fed you the most. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I don't know how to cook. I never really got the opportunity as a child to develop a want to cook because a lot of the times we didn't have food to cook when we were with our mom. And then when we were with my grandmother, she cooked for us. So it was really never a requirement for me to cook because it was like either feast or famine. After going through life myself and reflecting back, I now understand that a lot of what my mom was going through was undiagnosed, untreated depression and trauma. I realized like, oh no, my mom did love me. My mom did love my sister. She could not give us something she did not have, meaning stability, emotional stability, financial stability, mental stability. I mean, for a very long time, Vivian, I felt I wasn't worthy of love because my sister and I did not have Christmas a lot of times. Thanksgiving, yeah, because that's when our family would come together, and oftentimes my mom would be at work. My grandmother would be there. Come on, y'all, somebody comb their hair and somebody make sure that they're, clean and they have clothes on. And so for me, I mean, that's why it's very easy for me not to engage in the holidays because you can't miss something you never really had.
Oh, that's just so painful to hear it, to imagine the whole not having that sense of belonging, so to speak, or or tradition in a way that like most people have. So how did that impact your life?
It's impacted my life in more ways than I care to even holistically acknowledge. It wasn't until April of this year did I realize just how much my childhood did impact my life. In April of this year, on April 23rd, I found myself having to go to a women's shelter in the Houston area in the middle of our pandemic of COVID-19 as a result of my then partner hitting me in the face with a laptop and knocking my teeth backwards. I go to talk to the therapist and I'm like, listen, I can't stay here. There's a pandemic. I am a career professional woman. I cannot let my girls know that I'm in this homeless shelter. My family know. I need to go back home. So please tell me how I can go back home and not get hit again. And she said, sure, I'm here to empower you. She started just giving me these documents, Vivian. And I'm like, she's like, have you experienced this? And I'm like, this lady has been living in the walls of my house. Like, not even realizing I'm in a textbook case of domestic violence. Just didn't know it because I grew up watching and hearing my mom get beat up. So it was very much normalized for me.
What is considered textbook domestic violence?
Isolation. So I moved from Dallas, Texas to Houston, Texas. I'm thinking like I met the man of my dreams. He bought us a beautiful house in the Houston area. Yes, but now what I now know is for him, not in every case, but for him, that was a way to isolate me from my family and my friends so that I was codependent totally on him.
So you weren't able to talk to your family or anything like that?
I was, but I was discouraged, meaning like we could be sitting having dinner or watching TV and someone would call and he'd look like, well, we're having dinner or we're watching TV. Like this is our time. Those subtle remarks just made me just not pick up the phone at all. So it's not like he was like, don't talk to your family and friends. It was subtle. It was indirect. I didn't pick up the phone because I didn't want to make him upset. But that's a part of the conditioning. Knowing but not knowing, right? Because they're not going to just start out with the physical. It starts with the mental, the emotional, the why are you wearing this and why are you drinking that, and those subtle things. That's when the conditioning starts.
How was April 23rd any different than any other day for you?
Now the domestic violence didn't start then. It started like maybe 4 months after we started dating several years ago. What made the 23rd of April different is it got worse. I just literally could not believe that he hit me with an object. I literally could not believe that. I mean, I didn't even see it coming, so I couldn't brace myself for anything. Now with the education that I have now, it's called the cycle of violence. So it starts, this is the honeymoon phase, everything's good. I get the flowers, we go to Hawaii, all these wonderful things, right? And then the tension starts to mount. He gets a little, I won't say they, because it could be a woman too, gets aggravated. The victim starts to walk on eggshells, kind of blend into with the wall, and then the explosion starts. Then that's whether it's words, physical, it's a cycle and it goes round and around and around. And so we fast forward a week. That morning he had jumped on. I mean, like he literally took me by my neck, pushed me backwards. I picked up a serving tray to try to push him off me. He said, go ahead and hit me, bitch. I want to kill you anyway. I remember thinking like, he's going to kill me. And that's when I walked out. I was able to get outside and call 911. April 23rd, I feared for my life. I literally feared for my life. And I just could not accept my girls having to navigate life without me like I've had to navigate life without my mom. I just couldn't. So that was my turning point.
Were your girls living under the same roof with you?
By God's grace, no. And that very much goes back to my childhood because both of my girls' daughters are adults. Both of them live in Dallas. My 20-year-old lives with my 26-year-old now. She's in her second year of junior college, so she's figuring out life. My girls, even if they wasn't my girls, Vivian, I looked at them and they're just amazing. My oldest, I'm like, my love, like you survived my parenting. I was 14 years old. I wasn't even old enough to work. I received $238 a month in welfare and about $300 and something a month in food stamps. And I would walk her to the daycare, house the stroller at the daycare, and then walk to the bus stop to catch the bus to go to school. And I look at her now, and she graduated from the University of Oklahoma with a bachelor's. She went to University of Bologna in Italy, studied abroad.
One proud mama.
Very much so, very much so.
You know, you talk about being on welfare and you talk about all of those experiences. You know, I've been there. You know, I've been there too. My oldest sister was on welfare. I lived with her for stretches of time. My mom was out as a home attendant looking for work, and I was in the midst of moving so many times. We found ourselves also scrambling, and I found myself also witnessing a lot of violence. Not personally, but I saw it in my sister. She was a product and a woman that was being domestically abused. You know, I hadn't, until I spoke to you, now thought about, you know, how much one goes through in life, right? It's just, you just think that because you've lived it, that it isn't such a big deal. People have it worse. I'm fine now. I've been fine for a long time, so.
I'm fine.
Fine.
But the reality is, I'm not okay. I now know that it's okay to share that I'm clinically diagnosed bipolar 2, meaning the mood swings, the manicness. I'm clinically diagnosed with major depression and PTSD. That doesn't make me good or bad or right or wrong. It just makes me Jamie Wright.
Yeah, but your trauma started really early for you.
Very. My first memory of the traumatic events in my life started at about 5. Going back to like what you said in terms of it was normalized. I thought everybody's stepdad touched them. And everybody's mom screamed for help because she was almost getting her brains beat out. This is why I push, because even though I experienced all that, I know that I'm at the source of choice. Right now, I know, right? Going through the therapy and going to the women's shelter. Now I know that, yeah, those things I had no autonomy of what happened to me as a little girl. But now I understand why I did the things I did as a little girl and as a young adult. And it's not to give myself an excuse. No, it's to understand the root cause so that I can get to work on fixing it, on healing it.
I'm just emotionally so overwhelmed, and the reason is that you're over here putting all the burden on yourself as to how you should, you know, be more and do more. You are not only a survivor, but you are a warrior. You're thriving. You're pushing boundaries and going beyond leaps for someone who came from childhood sexual abuse. Still, you even went on to become educated, and maybe other people would have defined and let that define their circumstances and maybe have gone elsewhere, but you keep fighting for yourself. You're an accountant, auditor, and you even led a task force in Afghanistan. Like, tell me about that. I mean, that's amazing.
I have not survived what I've survived coming from the rural parts of Oklahoma, surviving the molestation, the abuse, surviving Afghanistan twice. The second time I was asked to go down, and I was the first civilian woman that was attached to this task force, let alone leading the civilian accountants and forensic auditors and making it back home okay, safe and sound, and getting accolades from our phenomenal military. God, my creator, has not preserved me through all of this to just say, sit down over in the corner and live life small and say, woe is me. Because like you said, there are people out there. I was in the shelter with women. They've given up on life, Vivian. They lost their voice. I've seen them. I had the privilege and honor of sharing sacred spaces with them. I fight now. My fight before was my girls, but now I know that they're okay. My fight now is for the women and the men. I would say not just women, for the people that carry trauma. My fight now is like, no, we might have been victimized, but we are absolutely not victims. There's too much life to live. There are people waiting on us. There's a beautiful life that we all deserve on the other side of this thing.
You have a lot of beautiful things that you're looking forward to, though. You have some books coming out.
My ebook that will be published soon is Finding Purpose Through Pain. and it's my story of my domestic violence amidst this COVID-19 pandemic, and my memoir, per se, the book challenging me to heal in areas that I didn't even recognize that I need healing, is the power of overcoming shame and learning to love yourself again.
What kind of advice would you give somebody that is in a domestic violence relationship?
I'm definitely glad you asked. Know that you're not alone. Know that there's resources available, and know that if this little country girl can push through, you can too. Seek advice from trained individuals. There are people out there that are trained. Their life purpose is to get us, meaning people that are experiencing domestic violence, on the other side of our situation.
I'm hearing from you that aside from the resources, you are basically using whomever helped you as a model in a way. So you're learning, you're healing, and you're learning from coaches, and then you are also coaching other people. How does that work, and why do you do that?
Pain is inevitable. We will experience it. But what I now know to be true, the amount of suffering that I choose to go through is my choice. And we don't have to heal alone and push through the suffering alone. I shared this on a domestic violence platform the other day. When we make the decision to push through the trauma and the domestic violence, is it going to be scary? Absolutely. But you feel the fear and you face it anyway. That's one of my 5 essential steps to healing that I created that people can find on my website, is feel the fear, but do it anyway.
So wait a minute.
Tell me your formula for surviving domestic violence.
I love it. So the first thing is realizing that you deserve to be healed. So I created 5 essential steps. And the first step is mindfulness, and that's the importance of being present in the moment, elevating your perspective, having a healthy, positive perspective, and from that we'll gain peace. This is what I know to be certain. When you're on a healing journey, peace is the equivalent of oxygen, the air we breathe.
You're gonna get a hell yes to that one. I value peace like it's nobody's business. So yes, I'm with you.
And then the other thing is invest. Self-development, self-care. And for me, it's created success. Success is different for different people. My success goes back to that peace, that harmony. I have a coach. I have a mentor. That's my self-development. I have a spiritual community, is my self-care. I have a therapist, and I meditate. That's what I do. I mean, it's different for different people. This is all in the healing journey, so we can start to make decisions from a healed place. Those are 3 of my formulas of like, Jamie, it hadn't even been a year and you're thriving. This is why. And it don't just happen.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like when I'm listening to you, I'm mind boggled. I'm just like overwhelmed. I'm flabbergasted. I'm in awe of you. I'm like, how does a woman who was sexually abused go ahead and lead a team to Afghanistan, have 2 beautiful kids, survives a domestic violence in a pandemic, and then becomes a speaker, a coach, an author, an advocate, and is writing 2 books, and you stand so strong in everything that you're doing in less than a year? That's amazing. I am so honored to be here with you in your presence, to learn what strength and perseverance looks like, to witness your grit, your grace, your love, your compassion for others. And I am so happy that you took a chance in the pursuit of your dreams, that you celebrate love, diversity, and inclusion. Thank you for being on Dishin It.
Thank you, Vivian.